Set in the year 2054, so Satan Tango has only just finished.
That's right.
Minority Report follows John Anderton, played by Tom Cruise, the chief of a specialised sector of the police called Pre-Crime. The department uses 3 psychics called precogs to predict the future, thereby allowing the cops to apprehend potential murderers before they even have the chance to kill anyone. And this poses a dilemma. Is it ethical for people to be charged for crimes that they technically not actually committed yet? And is this going too far?
We are arresting individuals who have broken no law.
But they will. The commission of the crime itself is absolute metaphysics. The precogs see the future and they're never wrong.
However, when the precogs predict that Anderton himself will kill a man he's never met, he's forced to go on the run to prove his innocence, kidnapping one of the precogs called Agatha, played by Samantha Morton, all while his own colleagues, led by Danny Whitworth, played by Colin Farrell, chase their former boss down in order to bring him justice. It's basically Total Recall crossed with The Fugitive whilst inspiring Source Code all at the same time. Oh, and his son goes missing, so he's out for revenge because heaven forbid Spielberg makes a movie about father and son that isn't completely tragic.
I always understood that.
The film was based on the 1956 short story of the same name by Philip K. Dick, but the project was initially written as a direct sequel to the aforementioned Total Recall, pitched in 1992 by producer and writer Gary Goldman. Not to be confused with the actor Gary Oldman.
He looked familiar.
However, the studio Carolco Pictures sadly went bankrupt before they could secure funding, and the rights then switched to Miramax in 1997, at which point all elements for a Total Recall sequel were removed in favour of a straightforward adaptation of the short story.
Oh, I love this part.
Jan de Bont was due to direct the film, with John Cohen writing the screenplay. However, de Bont later dropped out to direct the critically acclaimed remake of The Haunting instead, and though he received a producer's credit on this finished film, he had virtually no creative involvement with the picture whatsoever.
Probably just a glitch.
Tom Cruise then got a hold of Cohen's script and loved it, passing it on to Steven Spielberg. Cruise and Spielberg had been trying to collaborate on a project for years and actually came close when the latter considered directing Rain Man before abandoning the project to do Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade instead. Steven liked the script for Minority Report but felt it needed some work, ordering Cohen to rewrite it until he submitted an acceptable draft, which finally convinced S. Bergs to accept the job.
That's comforting.
Both Cruise and Spiely Boy agreed to only take 15% of the movie's box office revenue instead of being paid directly in order to keep the budget under $100 million, something he had done previously to great success. I haven't worked with many movie stars. 80% of my films don't have movie stars, and I've told them if they want to work with me, I want them to gamble along with me. I haven't taken a salary in 18 years for a movie, so if my film makes no money, I get no money. They should be prepared to do the same.
You're insane.
Production was supposed to begin after Cruise was done with Mission Impossible 2, but it ran over schedule, which did allow Spielberg to bring in Scott Frank to make new edits to the screenplay in the meantime. However, the project was even further delayed so Spielberg could finish directing AI following the death of his friend Stanley Kubrick. Unfortunately, these delays had a negative impact on the casting process. Stevie of House Spielberg originally envisioned an entirely different supporting cast to the one we ended up with, which would have featured Matt Damon as Danny, Ian McKellen as Burgess, Kate Blanchett as Agatha, Jenna Elfman as Anderton's estranged wife Lara, and Meryl Streep as Iris, the creator of Pre-Crime. Streep turned down her role, Damon was too busy making Ocean's 11, and everyone else proceeded to drop out of the project one by one due to the constant delays.
This is odd.
Spielberg also decided to put a lot more research into the film's world building, and invited 15 experts for a 3-day meetup to discuss ideas that could become real by 2054. And man, I guess it worked, because considering this came out in 2002, it did actually end up predicting a lot of technology that we use today, like facial recognition, touch screens, holograms, eye trackers, voice activation, automated cars, personalized advertising, and even jetpacks. Steven Spielberg's a time traveler. You know what, I'm not even surprised.
We'll need confirmation.
I wanted all the toys to come true someday. I want there to be a transportation system that doesn't emit toxins into the atmosphere and the newspaper that updates itself. The internet is watching us now, if they want to. They can see what sites you visit. In the future, television will be watching us and customizing itself to what it knows about us. The thrilling thing is that will make us feel we're part of the medium. The scary thing is we'll lose our right to privacy. An ad will appear in the air around us, talking directly to us. Alright, Dumbledore, calm down.
Well, I doubt it very much.
Filming ran from March to July July of 2001, and the movie actually holds the distinction of being the first film to have an entirely digital production design. Yeah, take that, George Lucas. But as always, certain things would change between novel and film. The setting was switched from New York to Washington. Max von Sydow's character Burgess wasn't in the book at all, and Cruise's character was originally a balding, out of shape, bloke in his 50s who was married but had no children. But this was later switched to a more athletic officer in his 40s who was separated from his wife and coping with his son going missing. Because Spielberg!
I like it.
Some scenes also had to be removed or trimmed down to secure a PG-13 rating. And due to the disappointing box office results of AI, the marketing campaign for this one downplayed the director and focused on selling it more as a Tom Cruise action thriller. Minority Report was released on June the 19th, 2002 and was the 10th most successful movie that year, earning $358 million worldwide against a budget of $102 million, achieving the third highest opening of any 20th Century Fox movie in the United States, only behind The Phantom Menace and Titanic. It was also well received by fans and critics alike, praising the visual, story and the collaboration between Cruise and Spielberg.
Really?
The movie also spawned a short-lived TV series in 2014, as well as a stage adaptation in 2024. Roger Ebert named it the best film of 2002. So he does know what good movies are. And it's often remembered as one of Cruise's best films and one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time.
That narrows it down.
The first thing I really notice is Spielberg's fetish for this bizarre lens flare on the camera. It's not the first movie he uses it in, but here it's quite distracting. It's not even like it's only for flashbacks or futuristic scenes. It just pops up randomly at points and it's so out of nowhere. It's also good to see that Tom Cruise apparently inspired that weird detective mode rewind time to analyze the crime scene shit from the Arkham games, and the technology obviously inspired Tony Stark. The movie's opening is really intense as he rushes in to try to stop the first crime from happening, backed up with an amazing musical score. I just can't help but think, imagine if all of us got arrested for all of the times we imagined murdering someone but didn't. I mean nothing.
What?
And wait, this came out the same year as Attack of the Clones. How the hell does it look so much better? Look at it, just compare the two and there's no contest. Okay, not every shot is going to be perfect, shut up. The special effects in this are incredible, and Clones had a higher budget. Of course, Tom Cruise is amazing as always as he first sees that he'll murder someone and his entire perspective changes. And it's so intense as he goes on the run.
Oh my gosh, are you okay?
What the hell? What was that? I mean, it's so random it was kind of funny, but did Spielberg just have some funny pills that day?
They fly now!
They fly now! They fly now!
And it's really suspenseful as he's cornered by his former colleagues, and they obviously don't want to attack or arrest him, and he doesn't want to fight them either, but they all have no choice. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Colin. The last person who did that in a Spielberg movie, let's just say things didn't really go the right way for them. Then they have a factory scene for George Lucas to clearly read over Spielberg's shoulder to completely steal for Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry, the movie just sucks!
Here we go again.
Although I do love the fact that there's a scene where a cop finds out that he's actually been sentencing innocent people, and it's such a shock.
Are you saying I've haloed innocent people?
Classic.
It would be stored in a safe place, but not declared.
What safe place is that?
The safest place, period.
Gringotts, the Wizard Bank.
Random? No, really, that wasn't even in the script. The actress just grabbed Cruise and kissed him. Hence his reaction. Horny bitch couldn't control herself.
It's always in the more gifted of the three.
Which one is it?
The female.
Rude. But man, Colin Farrell really needs to cut his nails. No correlation to the review, I'm just saying. There's a scene where he has to replace his eyeballs to avoid iris detection. Hey, it's just as silly as anything in the Mission Impossible films, I'm okay with it.
Don't do this.
But he's super paranoid that the doctor operating on him is going to double cross him. It actually gets quite menacing as he learns about the guy's past, but the anesthetic begins to kick in and he's not sure if he's been drugged or not. I guess anesthesia is a form of drugs, but you know what I mean, shut up.
How would I know that?
He ends up dreaming about his son, which is really sweet, but then he goes missing as he dives under the pool, and it is so tragic and heartbreaking.
There's a cry in their eyes. You're terrified and absolutely terrified right now.
You don't want your kids to know terror. Keep them away from me.
Really think about that line.
You don't want your kids to know terror. Keep them away from me.
He ends up getting stalked by these eyeball detector machines, forcing him to prematurely remove the bandage, and the suspense is unreal, but it ends up working and he's safe. Before he manages to also apparently transform his face. Hey, it really is Mission Impossible. But the movie does sometimes get a laugh.
Hello, Mr. Yakamoto. Welcome back to the Gap. How those assorted tank tops work out for you?
As he's protecting Agatha, she does help him remain hidden with her knowledge of the future, which is a really cool moment.
He knows. Don't go home.
Who told him I have a penis?
None of your damn business.
He's obsessed with confronting the man he's going to kill, despite her pleas to walk away. The acting on both sides is brilliant. He just wants to know why, and she's terrified because she knows it's inevitable and is going to happen anyway. The movie constantly has you on the edge of your seat to see what will happen next. She begs him to leave, and her acting is incredible. As is his when he discovers photos of his son and he delivers some great dialogue.
Every day, for the last 6 years, I've thought about only two things. The first is what my son would look like if he were alive today. If I would recognize him if I saw him on the street. The second is what I would do to the man who took him.
The movie has so many twists and turns it keeps you guessing because now he wants to kill him. He goes absolutely nuts while Agatha hyperventilates. All across the board, the performances are tremendous. But he decides to not kill him and to change his own fate, which is a really cool moment. It even turns out the guy didn't really kidnap or kill his son. He was forced to lie and... Oh! Alright. See? Keeps you guessing! He ends up face to face with Burgess, who has a really well written dilemma on his hands.
If you don't kill me, precogs were wrong and pre-crime is over. If you do kill me, you go away. But it proves the system works.
It's such a cool and badass moment by Cruise, and the dude decides to off himself instead. But Spielberg shoots it in a way that you think he's following fate and murdering him, because that's all we've seen happen throughout the movie. No one's gone against the prediction before. It's brilliant. That being said, the movie does have some big plot holes. In the movie, it's specifically stated that the precogs can only predict murders.
Then why can't they see rapes, or assaults, or suicides?
Because of the nature of murder.
But if they can only predict murders, how the fuck does Agatha warn Cruise about everyone trying to chase him down? Is she Mystic Meg? And then when they get caught, the police immediately want to plug Agatha back into the machine, even though she's clearly shown to be sentient with her own free will and therefore shouldn't be plugged back into the machine. Also, isn't it kind of useless for a police department to only predict the future for one specific crime? What happens if they need to stop a bank robbery, or fraud, or drug dealing, or domestic abuse, or parking on the double yellow lines? I have so many questions! There's also the fact that the whole story would fall apart if everyone stopped reporting back to the obvious bad guy every time there's a new development. They keep going to him for advice and to update him on the case, but look at him, he may as well have "I'm a baddie" written on his forehead. Oh, who cares? This movie is awesome! The hero's motivation is heart-wrenching and the performances are spectacular. They're what holds the movie together for me. The stars do an amazing job, the music is incredible, the action phenomenal, and the visuals are out of this world. Minority Report is yet another gem on Spielberg's almost flawless resume. I'm filming all of these at once, right? And I've just got to stand for the whole thing. My feet are fucking killing me.